Good morning, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President. Unfortunately, we have been living in the age of dangers. Contrary to all our expectations, the first couple of years of the 21st century have been characterized by wars, crises, an ever-growing threat of terror, and massive waves of illegal migration. As a consequence of all these, there have been serious debates going on about human rights. And unfortunately, in the meantime, human rights are being violated consequently as well. So I think it's very, very important at the outset to clarify what do belong to fundamental human rights and what do not. So as a clarification, everyone does have the right to have a safe life at his or her home. Everyone does have the right to freely practice his or her religion. And everyone does have the right to preserve, to stick to his or her national identity. But in the meantime, no one does have the right to violate border between two safe countries. No one has the right to murder anyone with a reference to any ideology or religion. And no one does have the right to take away the right of others when it comes to access to mother tongue. Hungary stands up very strongly for the protection of the human rights, both at home and in the international political organizations. So, Mr. President, let me emphasize three short points. First, as a consequence of our very special history, there are millions of Hungarians who are living outside of Hungary. And 150,000 out of these millions are living at the western end of Ukraine. And up to 2015, they used to have a well-established set of rights. But these rights, unfortunately, have been violated and diminished step by step. And the access of this Hungarian community to its own mother tongue has been seriously limited on the field of education, culture, media, and public administration. Based on the current regulations in Ukraine, 99 Hungarian minority schools had to cease their operation as minority schools last September and had to continue as Ukrainian schools, only partly teaching on the language of the minority. We Hungarians do stick to the approach that the Hungarians living in Ukraine must get back all their rights which they used to have up to 2015. We don't demand anything which could be considered as extra. We just would like to get back those rights which the Hungarians used to have already by 2015. The second point of mine, Mr. President, Your Excellency, is that Hungary has been confronted with an extraordinary migratory pressure throughout the last 9 years, as being located at the external border of both the European Union and the Schengen area. And we do know it from a first-hand experience that migration is a dangerous phenomenon. It is a dangerous phenomenon firstly because it constitutes a vicious circle with terrorism. As the migratory flows offer a possibility for the terrorists to hide among the migrants. Therefore, they can spread their ideologies and can commit terrorist attacks in many places of the world. And second, we do consider migration as a dangerous phenomenon based on the experiences in the western part of Europe. where parallel societies have been established in many countries. We have now seen the modern age anti-Semitism on the rise in the recent months. And we all do see the allowed minorities putting pressure on those communities which form the majority and have been living in their places for centuries. International law, Mr. President, must be respected in this regard. International law speaks very clearly. Those who have to escape from their homes do have the right to stay temporarily on the territory of the first safe country. But first safe country, not the second, not the third, or not the fourth. So therefore, Hungary has been protecting its borders, and we will continue to do so. In the last 2 years, we have stopped nearly 500,000 illegal migrants. But in the meantime, we bring help where it is needed. We bring help to those communities which have been confronted with serious challenges in order to enable them to stay and to live among peaceful circumstances. My third and last point, Mr. President. Hungary has been a country with a more than 1,000-year-long Christian statehood. Therefore, we do feel a special responsibility for the Christian communities all over the world, especially nowadays, as Christianity proves to be the most persecuted religion all over the world. Thousands of Christians do have to face attacks and persecution on a daily basis, and we have to speak about this very openly as well. So therefore, Hungary has already spent more than $100 million on supporting the Christian communities in need all around the world in order to enable them to stay where their communities had been living for centuries or an even longer period of time, and not to be eliminated, because elimination of these Christian communities is exactly the goal of the terrorist organizations and those with extremist ideologies. To sum up, Mr. President, I'd like to assure you that Hungary will continue to stand up for the protection of the human rights back at home and here in the international political arena. And we will continue to support the activities of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and the Special Representative on Minority Issues as well. Mr. President, thank you for your kind attention.